Okay, this is a video that I've wanted to do for some time, but it's all about a time and a place to actually do a video where there is not a whole lot of background noise or distractions. So now that I'm focused on this topic, I need to address an issue that everybody is facing, that currently doesn't have their own land, that is concerned about current events, that at some point may want to go off the grid or live in a world of freedom outside the box of the current reality that we're in right now. And so there's different websites you can find where you can get hooked up with different survival types. And a lot of these survivalists come from different backgrounds. It's not good to marginalize everybody into one category. What I want to do is just give some encouragement to those of you that do want to live a life of freedom outside of a dense population center, but also give you some warnings based on personal experience. Now, I've had a certain amount of falling outs with certain people that have power trip issues. Some of the more psychotic survivalist types that are out there. Not just this year, but also in the past. I've also seen people go in the survival business and say, hey, how can we get the most amount of money from an unknowing individual who actually doesn't know how to buy stuff directly themselves? I distance myself from those individuals as well. And I've seen other people try to take advantage of a bad situation, calling themselves an organizer. I had experience with one individual this year who was all about having his, organic garden and having people come down, and he was more interested in the opposite sex, even though he already had a girlfriend. And so most of his motivations were about getting laid on a regular basis with girls that are young, dumb, and full of. And so I don't think that that's very mindful. There's a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to being an organizer in an off-the-grid community. And so as things get worse and more people try to live a different way, and sometimes they may accept an offer of friendship from a certain individual that may offer to mentor. Hey, I'll teach you guys how to build this. We'll do this. And whether or not an individual that has ill intentions is aware of his ill intentions or not, oftentimes you see him right away. Whether it be the power tripping, the insulting, or the grooming process. I want to talk about the grooming process. A grooming process with one of these individuals is when you're being put down on a regular basis, insulted, maybe even attempts to intimidate you. Punches against the wall, yelling, screaming, towering over you, getting up, seeing how you respond. Guerrilla activity, guerrilla behavior, monkey behavior. Once you see those warning signs, you need to get out there. Get out of that situation. Unless, of course, you're in a really bad situation where you're dependent on that person to, say, finish building something. There's a lot of different scenarios that I could go over, but I just want to stress the importance of being aware that there are certain folks out there that are on the level to a point. They can intellectualize to a degree about the economic instability of our current world. They can intellectualize to a degree how to build something and the importance of working with your hands. And there could be something completely psychotic that goes along with that. Now, there's a major difference between a cooperative living environment, work environment, something that's proactive with positive energy, people making food together, healthy food, not Walmart, and enjoying each other's company because they got something done. That's the magic of humanity. The dark side is individuals that will help you because they want something from you. It could just simply be someone to push around. It's not just relationships between men and women or homosexual experiences or relationships between men and women and women. It can happen between heterosexual men and heterosexual females. For someone to seek to dominate their quote-unquote friend, like a spouse that they're abusing through their words, through their energy, again, back to the grooming process. And once you let someone cross a few lines, a few boundaries, and insult you in a few different ways, cross-examine you, try to get inside your mind, find out what makes you tick, psychoanalyze you, and give you the doctor's report. Now, these are signs that it's not going to be a healthy, long-term survival adventure. You also got to have people that are outside the box of Democrat and Republican, and you also want to be cautious of those that are almost looking for a fight with the government, whether it be with the use of firearms or something else. If you're a real survivalist and you have an intellectual capacity to understand what's going on, the name of the game is to get out of Dodge beforehand. Okay? Not sit there playing armchair survivalist from a dense population center, but get out before the crisis. Have your stuff in a stable location where someone's not going to rip you off of that location or sell the land out from under you or try to dominate things at that location or steal your stuff. One thing that's really common in the San Luis Valley of South Central Colorado is houses being broken into when no one's home. And when I was gone for 2 weeks, when I was staying in a yurt in the desert, somebody came along and took my socket wrench set. Some people think I've never owned tools. I actually owned a pretty decent $20 kit from Home Depot. And there were a number of other things that were stolen, a few other tools, even a Berkey water filter. So there's a lot of different reasons why it's a benefit to have people at your property or to be at someone's property who's a good person, because it's about theft prevention before it happens and maintaining the property and make sure nothing gets destroyed while the owners are away or while the primary members are away. The problem with larger groups are many, and it really comes down to personality differences. So anytime you hook up with certain individuals, a lot of things come up to play. What are their girlfriends like? Are they open to having other men in their tribe that are other than their boyfriend or their husband? Will there be a power issue? And the same thing goes for your friendships with other men. Are they jealous of some of their friends? Are they afraid that some of their friends are going to try to sleep with their wife? These are really, really big concerns when it comes to hooking up with other survival-oriented folks. Couples that haven't worked out their own insecurity need to work out their own insecurity before they have any connection with other men or women. It's easier for couples to be with couples, to live with other couples, because of that fear. That fear is much stronger when dealing with single couples, especially single men. That constant concern that the woman will leave the man for another man, or that the man's best friend's actually going to sleep with his girlfriend. That's not a best friend. And there's a lot of men out there that have made really poor choices in terms of the company that they keep, including myself. But I have chosen to accept some help in certain situations because I was in a desperate situation. Kind of like with the last situation where someone helped me build a trailer. I was in a desperate situation. So I accepted his help. And then it started to get really, really psychotic. And that's not really something I'm going to go too deep into at the moment, but it's going to come up later on. Later on, it's going to come up, and there will be a number of different video clips that we'll be showing you from this individual at a later point in time, but that time is not now, because I need to focus on the current situation. And this current video is there to say, don't give up because of a few individuals or a few bad apples and a few dominators. Just be realistic with what you're looking at. There's a lot of people out there that want to have their own slaves, and they see other human beings as assets. Okay, as assets to them to build more resources. So as you entrust certain people, you need to be watchful for certain things that aren't quite right, while at the same time, if you guys are truly friends or there may be a real friendship, allowing certain personality differences to exist, as long as both parties, for the most part, are honest and respectful of each other's feelings. The major problem in the world today, and with certain survivalists, is a lack of respect for other people's feelings. They talk a big talk and a big line about freedom, but they have no problem stepping on someone else's spirit, accusing them of things they've never done, or giving them the funny eye if they look at their girlfriend the wrong way, or other situations where their girlfriend flips out because there's another rooster in the hen house. And a lot of what I'm talking about isn't just my own experiences, but also hearing the experiences from others. There's plenty of other men that have been kind of forced out of community-oriented situations because the girlfriend simply didn't like the guy. Well, it's not really the girlfriend's right to vote certain men off the island because she's not sleeping with them. It's her spouse's, it's her husband, it's her boyfriend's decision what friends he's going to have. So there's so many different dynamics when it comes to mindfully being a part of a, we'll call it a self-sustainable, self-sufficient community as opposed to survival. Pay attention to these things and use your best judgment when people offer to do certain things for you. Certain things may have strings attached. It's important to hold that awareness in your mind. Use your intuition. Is this the best choice for me? Is this the best choice for me to go either by myself or with my spouse, with my boyfriend, with my girlfriend? And I say that for some of you that are female viewers. You know, 1/5 of the audience is female. So we want to say hello to 1/5 of the Alex Ansary audience, not just talk to the 4/5 of the audience, which are the males. There's a reason women don't like this channel. And it's talking about the self-responsibility, and it's talking about the need for women to stop supporting the dominator types. And apparently some of you are okay with that. You've hung around, you're still watching. I've seen the numbers go from 27% to 25%, 23%, 20%. Well, the more truth I put out there, eventually it'll attract the attention and awareness of other women that are out there on the web looking for truth, and then we'll start to see those numbers go back up and hopefully see a more balancing of the male-female audience. But I care about a lot of you, and I don't claim to be a prophet. I don't claim to be a psychic, but things today are pretty close to how I thought they'd be. It's where things are going is what's important. And we will continue to see a decline in public safety, especially for women these days. Some men, but mostly women, when you see these manufactured racial conflicts catapulted by the propaganda of the mainstream media. And so these are times to think about where you might want to live outside of a dense population center and what type of environment you may be in, how you might be paying your bills, how you may be accumulating resources, what kind of home you may want to build. I mean, what is your dream home? Have you ever thought about it? It's not something that I've given enough thought to other than I want something underground and above ground with passive solar and a number of Earthship concepts rolled into one. But I wanted to, you know, have structural integrity, not just be a bunch of tires, not just a typical Earthship. You know, I want a real home. We need to be thinking about these things, and that's the universe. That's right. Ask the universe to bring into our life people, places, and things that can help us achieve our goals. While I may have regretted experiencing certain things in this life with certain people, and there are so many, in a future book on my life, I'm going to write about some of these individuals in depth in my narcissist sociopathic chapter. Some of the different personality types that I have come across that have pretended to be friendly to me, but in fact have had, in reality, very different feelings about me. That in fact they were harboring the whole time they were working with me. It was only when I chose to distance myself from some of these individuals that the real nastiness came out. That's about domination. That's about control. That is about slavery. That is about the false perception that you actually own another man or woman. And so you need to know that some of these mentalities are out there in the survivalist community. You know, some of these preppers are pissed off that the shit has hit the fan at this point in time. And some of them are chronically single. I'm chronically single, but it's for different reasons. I think that this information turns people off, and my personality turns a lot of women off in person, unless they're really, really into this stuff. But some of the people that are really, really into this stuff, or some of it, are more into the, hey, let's have a revolution, and less into the philosophy and the spiritual ideas that I share. And there are some women out there that like some of the spiritual ideas, but they do not want to hear about the other political truths. And there's some out there that like both, but, you know, we don't meet in person. This is just a digital thing between you and I. In the real world, it's total isolation. So as isolated people, and some of you are isolated as well, we need to start thinking and, you know, apply our mind to how we're going to achieve our dreams of freedom and independence from this world of slavery. That does involve working with other people. It's just about the right people. And so while I may regret some of those past experiences, I was meant to learn from them and evolve so I don't keep repeating the same mistakes, so I don't keep attracting some of the same personality types, the male dominator. I mean, I speak against that personality type in my videos. These individuals should not be attracted to me. These individuals should not want to come in my direction and offer fake offers of help, but yet they continue to do so. And perhaps there's other reasons why that is that I am not currently aware of, although I have a few suspicions. And no, the government is not to blame. But spiritual warfare is very real. And if any of you think that you're going to evolve your consciousness and realize your dreams without any opposition, without weird things happening in your life, you have another thing coming. It seems to be a part of the life process to deal with difficult personalities, when in reality, you guys, we all should be on the same side. I can use the protesters as an example. You know, there are people that are screaming against the injustices of this world, but there are plenty of things they're not talking about. There are plenty of white people shot, and you're not seeing anybody protesting that. I mean, James Chassie was shot, but he was mentally challenged. He was male. What about some of the females out there that are shot? Seems like some of these massive groups just want to protest when it's convenient for them, and when the media is saying it is socially acceptable for you to be a punk. Well, it's not socially acceptable to be a punk, to engage in property destruction, and to act like you're a real anarchist while at the same time violating the free will of others. So whether you're dealing with the fake survivalist who is close to a heart attack or a major physical health issue, or you're dealing with an angry young man who thinks that violence is the way, that turning over cars is the way. You know, a lot of these types may not like each other. You know, a certain military survivalist type won't like that young punk, but that young punk and the military survivalist type, they have more in common than they will ever know in a million years, because of the attitudes that they have, the energy that they carry. And it's a bully energy. It's a dominating energy. It's a fuck you, I'm right, you're the problem, I'm the solution psychosis. And it's important that you take this into consideration as you seek friendships. I would say build those friendships now. Have email discussions now with people. I'm not having any discussions whatsoever with any potential team members of Alex Ansary or anyone that I may be a part of their team. The universe kind of opens things up when there's a time for it. This is also probably a good time to say the best way to prepare for the future is to create positive karma for yourself and to genuinely be a good person. While I face certain opposition and have come across certain individuals that have chosen to do me wrong, the universe keeps providing. And I have so many stories that I'll share in that book of times where there was direct divine intervention in my life. To where something happened, I'm going down the road, for example, no brakes in New Mexico, well over a year ago, and I literally have to pull the steering wheel to flip my car around and slam it into the ditch to save my own life. In the process, blowing up 2 tires on one side of my car. 30 seconds later, a guy that just happens to repair tires in the middle of Timbuk nowhere, New Mexico, northern New Mexico, happens to be driving up the road. There are so many stories that I have about the universe sending me help and protection at that moment that I've needed it. And throughout this whole course of my 34 years of life, physical danger to me has been repelled. Doesn't mean I've never been socked in the face by a couple punks on the street. 4th and Washington, 2006, 5 black guys blow smoke in my face. One guy did. Turned around and said, "Don't blow smoke in my face." Boom! And then he follows up with a round kick to my solar plex. And it caught me off guard. I should have anticipated that he would do that. Did it end my life? Did it send me to the hospital? Did I have a mark? No mark whatsoever. No concussion. I was fine a couple hours later as I bussed tables at that time at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, where I worked for 5 years to the day, while doing Outside the Box TV. So playing Cinderella at night without waiting for a knight in shining armor to come save my ass, and then putting all the money into rent so I can focus on alternative media, because that's the sacrifice I've chosen to make. To focus on alternative media information gathering and sharing, even if I'm not the best at it, and even if I offend some people while I do it, and even if some people say, hey, your work isn't good enough, you're still a piece of shit because you're not a slave like the rest of us. Regardless of all that negativity that has come my way over the years, I've mostly lived a safe life. And I've been protected from certain diseases and certain stalking issues. I haven't had to deal with certain people out there trying to kill me because of the type of information that I'm reporting. But we live in a world where you're constantly coming across that paranoid, some could say schizophrenic, but survivalist type that truly does not have confidence in their own ability to survive. There's a lot of scared men out there, and they're working their hardest to build some sort of army for some reason, and yet there's almost a debate when I try to talk to some of these people about the plans for World War III, a stage-managed event, and I try to share this information with other people because I want to impart this knowledge. I want to see people wake up to what's going on. I don't claim to have a crystal ball, but I'm 110% certain that this is on the table, and recent events have only confirmed that. As Russia builds more powerful weapons, as the US builds more powerful weapons, as China builds more powerful weapons. But on the other side of the table, or behind the closed doors, there is greater and greater cooperation between these governments. It's more than likely that this coming stage world war will be manufactured to create a world government out of the ashes of whatever happens in about a decade's time. So be aware that there's some survivalists out there that have no knowledge there's something more we need to be concerned about outside of ISIS, outside of black people, or outside of our own government. There are forces inside and out that serve the same dark entities that are behind the New World Order. Real survivalists take some of the stuff into account, and that it's more important to have friendships than enemies, because we are powerful in numbers. People keep saying there's more of us than them. Yes, but we're not organized. We're infighting. We're blaming each other for the problems of our current day. The government isn't doing that. The structure that is controlling this government, the unelected structure, the dark occultists, they're not infighting like people think. They are far more organized. People want to believe that they're infighting and that they're going to bring themselves down. This is definitely a time to start to address all of our own personal, ignorant ways of looking at life. So I got a little off topic, but to bring it back home and center, I highly recommend you think about life off the grid and living a life in freedom. And it's better to do that with a small group of associates and allies that are going to be in your neighborhood of said off-the-grid location than to have a massive group of 20, 30, 40 people involving loose cannons that may try to take over the group or do something else shitty to you. Don't be one of these people that just say, hey, I'm not going to trust anyone. I'm going to be a lone wolf. Keep your heart open. I'm working on keeping my heart open and keeping myself open to people to contact me if they have an idea or if they have a project or if they want to have some fun and build something. I want to get involved with the right people and not let the past experiences ruin things from me, only to learn from those past experiences and also share with others some of the things that I've seen in order to be of assistance, because information is powerful. To speak one's truth, as I heard another lecture speaker say, to speak one's truth is to step into one's divine, and to do the right things to help others. That is the ultimate survival preparedness technique, is to help others and to be honest and not engage in lies, because whatever we put out there does come back to us in some way, shape, or form. I've seen it, I've lived it, and I'm living it now. And I'm hoping to have a much better year ahead in 2015 than the year that I've had here in 2014. Thank you for watching, and keep the faith. When the time is right, the universe will connect us with the right people. In the meantime, the universe might be sending us certain types of individuals in order for us to grow, to learn, and evolve through the situation. Thanks for watching.